Okay. Dave, let's roll us in. Let's put some beautiful pod down.
So welcome back to Restauranttopia. We have another fantastic episode for you today with the normal crew of Brian Seitz, Anthony Hamilton, and myself, Dave Ross. And I'm super excited about today's guests. We have some experts here out of the state of Maine, CMO Luke Labrie and Chef Timothy Labonte from Dennis Paper up in Maine. And they're going to talk a little bit today about video workflow and how you can really take advantage of the new technologies out there to showcase your restaurant and use video to your advantage. So welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
One thing that operators and our listeners are constantly pinging us and emailing us about is video production workflow and how do they get into that? And is there a way to systemize it? How do they delegate it? But really, how do they do it themselves? I've watched a few of your videos. Awesome stuff. Funny. Tim, I commend you on that. I don't know who's your copywriter, but it's good stuff. It's very funny. And the production quality is very high. So when you guys are starting to do a video, what's your first step and how do you kind of, we got nothing. How do we start?
Usually it just starts with a conversation, and I'll preface that our workflow and the way we've done things took a drastic shift because of the pandemic. And more than ever, we had to leverage new technologies to continue to create the content that was going to get our message out there. We're a food service distribution company, just like yourselves. And so we are, paying attention to when and where and what we should be talking about. So it brings a few different people together who add to it. And then Tim and I kind of brainstorm recipes that he could create. Well, he brainstorms. He says, I could make these things. And I say, wow, that sounds really good. There's certain aspects we bring to it. I'm holding the camera, or at least I used to be. And, Tim would just bring the food, and whatever he wanted to create, we would do. And as we went, we kept learning more about the process of what we're creating. So I knew what I wanted to create, and I knew Tim knew what he was doing in the kitchen.
Let's start with location. How do you typically do if you're doing a kitchen scene? How do you do that?
I'm going to use the example that I have when I have conversations with operators about where they should take pictures, where they should capture content. And that is, you need to scout your operation. You need to scout your area around your restaurant to see what you have for opportunities, what you have for lighting. The kitchen is naturally the best place to do it if you are, doing, videos about food or what you're creating, but you've also got, the corner booth and the window, and you've got places that you can use that not only help you get comfortable and have a nice lit setting, but give you the opportunity to show off the areas of your restaurant, of your hospitality business in any way that you want. Which is really the key. And we're just lucky that we have a professional test kitchen on site at our facility where we can go to do this. But again, the pandemic threw a wrench into it and sent Tim to what we call TK2.
Test kitchen 2. That's essentially my home kitchen. So that's our lingo. TK1 is the test kitchen at the facility, and then we got TK2, which I'm in right now. But back to what Luke was saying, or the question at hand is creating workflow, and how do you pick a location? For me, and based on our current workflow, it's just picking a location that works the best at that particular time. I've got enough equipment and basic knowledge, I guess I would say, to put things together in any location for that matter. I could go outside my backyard and fire up the barbecue and just set up the small amount of equipment that I have. And through editing skills and the magic of editing, make it look halfway decent.
The halfway decent notion, right? Like, I think a lot of times what happens is we get too stuck on making perfect content, and then we end up getting overwhelmed. As long as you have like C+ or better quality, that your content's rock solid, then all of a sudden it becomes great and easy to consume for people. As far as
I shoot for D-, and, totally fly by the seat of my pants.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't try to be Francis Ford Coppola here. Just try to get your message across in the most decent way you possibly can, and don't worry about perfection.
100%. I've got a podcast of my own that speaks to that point, how to look like a pro on video. You can find it, Dennis Knows Food. And to your point of, being overwhelming, no offense, Brian, but your initial question to kick it off was almost overwhelming to the topic, because my brain went, I don't do any of that shit. That's, like, I'm thinking, how do I answer? And you got a big word spew answer out of that question from me. I'm like, what? I don't do that. So, what we do is we get inspired, right? We get inspired and we get creative, and we use the tools that we have at our disposal. And we don't wait, to your point, Anthony, till we're perfect at using them. We just pick it up and go. And each time we pick it up and go, we learn a little bit more about the device, about ourselves, about the software, about the upload process, about video and audio optimizations. And I'll tell you, my secret, my trick, there are still things that I want to do on video that I don't know how to do in the moment, but I know can be done. So I hop onto YouTube and I say, how to do that thing. And lo and behold, there's 1,500 videos on how to do that thing. So I watch one of them while I'm doing the thing. And I've made some really cool stuff happen that took about 45 minutes to an hour of education and trying. And I moved on to the next thing. And I don't try to retain a lot of those things either. They're onesie twosies that you use on occasion. If I need to go look it back up, the next time I look it up, it's going to take me 10 minutes to recall what it was. You can get in and out of creativity without overwhelming yourself, without over-investing yourself. And I think that's really the trick. It's got to be natural. It's got to come from the heart. You have to want to share who you are and what you're doing and why. If you approach something with a script, or you're reading bullet points, or you're trying to highlight, the standardized message that you think everybody should receive, you're going to sound like a salesman, and nobody's going to be interested in what you have to offer. And everybody starts there, which is normal. Everybody starts there, which is normal, because you don't know how, you're not in your groove. You don't know what your voice is to your audience, right? So you start talking and you loosen up. It happened with me in the podcast. Go back to listen to episode 1 through 10 and then on into the others. Like, it's rough. And Tim, Tim created some great visual content right off the bat. But behind the cameras, we were finding ourselves, right? I was trying to direct him, and he was, trying to cook in a way that he was used to cooking, having never had somebody expect to make a video while he was doing it. And actually, Tim, that's a great time to jump in. I'd love to hear your thoughts on those early days.
The early days. I remember it like it was 3 years ago. But no, I mean, in your defense, Luke, that was, we started shooting video when I first started there. So we really didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how Luke was going to direct it, if at all, because to be completely honest, I had done plenty of video work before, but solely having someone else videotaping me, and I would be able to go with my own flow as a chef. And I think that from the standpoint that I'm in now, as far as my video production and flow, it gave me a lot of thoughts that I didn't know I was going to have at that point carried on to where I am now that I can utilize now, if that makes sense. So, I find myself from time to time thinking like, what was it that Luke mentioned that time? Oh yeah, that's right. I'm going to try that out. Or maybe I'll try this angle. And yeah, it didn't make sense then, but makes total sense now. And I never, gave him the benefit of the doubt at that point, or the kudos for it. So there you go, Luke. You're getting kudos for it.
Just like anything you're going to do in a restaurant, whether it's going to be, that's maybe not as natural or not, not the thing that you got into business to do. So if you're going to start trying to do marketing, or you're going to start trying to figure out social media, or you're going to start trying to figure out how to take photos or videos, we're talking about, getting started is really the start. Let's start doing something, and then as Brian says, become a student of the game and do the push-ups and do the Google and YouTube, and because it's all out there to get better at it and do the repetitions. But if we could give the listener a little understanding into what is the best way to get started, that's so you don't have to buy a video camera, you don't have to buy lighting, you don't have to go out and make this huge investment. Like, how does somebody just get started and get the reps in, and then it's something that they're really having a good time with and enjoying and getting better at, then they can maybe make some investments. So how does somebody really get started in video? You're a restaurateur and you want to start doing that for whatever purposes, marketing and whatnot, and you don't want to go out and go to a third party or, again, make that huge investment. Like, what would be your suggestions for that restaurateur in that situation?
What's the minimum viable equipment setup? I mean, like, what are you using for a mic and what are you using for a camera?
The minimum device needed is the best smartphone that you can afford and that you upgrade on a regular basis. The best smartphone you can afford sounds like a gift to yourself, but it is the device, when you stop and think about it, that you use most often in interactions with your social media, with your business, with your digital presence. And it is the best equipped to serve you in content creation because you have it with you all the time. If you own a restaurant, if you are a manager expected to contribute to the content or to the social media or to the success of that restaurant, you must own an iPhone Pro. And if an iPhone Pro is out of your range, then go for the latest, greatest, base model iPhone. It's got the lens, it's got the mic, it's got the video, it's got the front facing, but you can do crazy things with it. You can go so advanced that you could produce a Hollywood cinema grade thing. Or you can take it out of the box and hit record and you're good to go. So it doesn't get any easier than that. But the whole point of using a smartphone is that it's on you all the time and you can create content that is going to be in your back pocket. So I have talked till I was blue in the face about the advantages of DSLR versus iPhone. If you plan on shooting a regular stationary series somewhere that you want to be ongoing and it's going to involve a 7 to 10, 15-minute video that you want to create, spring for the DSLR. If you buy one and you also have a high quality, a later iPhone 12, 13, whatever, you will not use your DSLR as much as you think you might. It's just not as convenient.
I've seen that, and I've seen also just a ton of accessories that are coming out for the iPhone that whether it's gimbals or other things that really make production a lot easier. So say you're using your iPhone 13, are you using what mic array or how are you doing the mic? Is it a lavalier? Like what are you using for the mic?
I don't use one very often at all.
Really?
I get hardly ever. When I record a podcast, I have a mic that I use, but sometimes I'm feeling lazy, so I stack a bunch of couch cushions around my iPhone, and I use an app called Just Press Record, and it sounds just as good. But when I'm in the kitchen, I'm in a restaurant, when I'm anywhere, when I'm creating content, I never want to feel like I can't create something because I don't have all my equipment on me. Oh, I can't capture this with him because I need my mic, or, oh, it's not charged, or I got to plug it in.
How do you get over the hood system in the audio of a video? Because I think that's, to me, the biggest hurdle I've ever had to deal with filming in the kitchen. I know a lot of operators out there too probably suffer from that, because I'll tell you, that hood system will drown everything out.
If I know the hood system is going to be a deterrent, then I will take video that is, I don't care what the audio sounds like. I'm just going to film something and something cool is going to come of it. And often in the moment, somebody will be there that it has a reference point, because I know, right, this is my business. I know what they know, and I can have them talk to a particular topic. So I'll ask them, hey, what's your favorite thing about that? And I'll get in close and I'll get their audio. And he says, oh, my favorite thing about this burger is the way it does blah, 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 and that's it. So I would never interview somebody in an active kitchen. It's too loud. You'd stress over the scenario. When I film Tim in our kitchen, sometimes we forget to turn the equipment off, but that's our trick. We turn the oven off, we turn the overhead fans off, because it's noise that you can't remove. An old DJ once told me, you can fix a bad picture and make it better, but bad audio is bad audio. I've never found, back to the original question, that a boom mic of any kind has been more advantageous. Tim and I just started using a Rode mic. I've had it for years, 5 years, right? And how many 100 videos we've got up there, probably used it half a dozen times. It works great. The audio quality is great. Pain in the butt. It's a hindrance to our workflow.
It's not
the iPhone captures great audio.
One thing I think we all need to think about too, if you're a restaurateur and you're hesitant to start doing this, one, just start, but two, think how long you consume content online. You know,
Yeah.
you're looking at it for 30 seconds, you're looking at it for a minute. Like, you're not, you know, downloading it and showing and saving it for your grandkids. So don't get stressed out about like this has to be like archival quality.
That's a great point, Brian. I think to go back to what we've talked about and not expecting perfection and not being too hard on yourself, get it up and running. And it's disposable, right? So it's not as if it's going to have this lasting footprint or it's going to be on the wall somewhere in someone's collection. Like, just get the content out, let it be consumed, and keep moving.
I am a frugal bastard, if I can say that on this show.
You can.
You're welcome to.
I don't like spending any money that I don't need to spend on anything, even if it's the company's money. Like, it's just, there's no point in doing that when you can do something for free or cheap or easy. And when
Luke,
you
that's
consider,
that's step one to running a restaurant. You could own a restaurant.
There you go.
That's that right there. That's
restaurateurs love me when I come in and I tell them about what they can do. I'm not kidding. I was at a food show and I had two nice ladies come up who run this really cool country store on the coast, and they do a lot of food and everything, and they mail order things, you know, very LL Bean vibe. And they stopped me and said, you know what, we really want to get into video. What equipment should we use? And I said, are you interested in doing a DSLR or some other device like an iPhone, smaller camera? And they said, well, we really don't know. We want kind of to get really good quality, but we want to move around and go different places in the store. And I said, your best bet, and I don't want to tell you to spend money, is to stop on your way home and buy, I think it was the iPhone 11 or whatever had just come out. Buy that and go home, read the manual, watch the videos on YouTube, how to take advantage of it. There are camera apps you can download. There's video editing software you can download. You can buy that one device and you can go live to your audience. You can edit long form content. You can edit short form content. You can upload and post to your social media, and away you go. They called me from their car on the way home. Hey, Luke, we just stopped at Best Buy. We got new iPhones. Since then, I've been watching them on social media. Yeah, I know, right? And they have been producing content ever since. And I watch some of it, and sometimes it's awesome, and sometimes it's rough, and sometimes it's vertical, and sometimes it's horizontal. But it never matters what the quality is, because they are consistently putting a message out there, putting themselves out there. Their audience loves it. They're personal. They engage. They're just talking about stuff. They've gone around the store to show the food. They've been cooking in the kitchen. It's at a whim. And to me, the at a whim stuff is the very, very best content you could make. And I want to make a point to Chef Tim earlier. He mentioned, you know, he was used to just cooking and watching somebody film without interrupting him, which is key to have that conversation early with your staff. You raised that point. And you have to explain, you know, hey, this is going to be natural. We just don't stop. You know, I tell, when I'm filming in a kitchen, I tell the staff, please don't stop what you're doing unless I'm nice about it. Don't stop what you're doing unless I specifically address you and say, hey, can you show me that, or can you stop and do that? Because what happens is you can see something in the kitchen. Somebody's going to pour, you know, a sauce over a Benedict, or they're, you know, flaming a burger on the grill before setting it down. You have that 4K camera, and you can't see me, but I've got my camera right here, and I'm holding it up and moving it down in a swooping motion, right, to get close to the grill. I slapped on slow-mo mode, and suddenly I've got something that looks like it cost, you know, $500 off of a clip photography or videography site. It's those moments, that the whim moments, that let you just capture what I call B-roll. So you are going to the cloud with all this content, and you have it in your back pocket, and that's what, you know, those folks have done. So I'm getting long-winded, but you have to get a smartphone. I recommend the iPhone because the software that exists on the Apple devices for free, again, frugal bastard, is second to none. The learning curve is the lowest. It has no subscription fees that it's going to charge you. There's no download the extra whatevers. There's no feature sets that you don't need, that, you know, are in this interface that makes it more cumbersome to use. You can do everything on your iPhone. You can get an iPhone and an iMac. You can get whatever you want. But the Apple ecosystem combined with the cloud, it really makes it effortless.
I would say that we're also in a world of very disposable content. So get out there and do things, break things, move quickly. Don't wait for the whole team to get together, like start doing those videos of the grill, start doing those videos of the plating, and again the 15 seconds, and then you can start playing with the software and start learning the software. So when you do 10-15 minutes, like I think that's so very important. I just perfection is the enemy of progress, and you really need to just start this. This is not difficult, and there's people on your staff and people on your team at the restaurant that can show you little tricks, but you can pick this up, and with a few YouTube videos, you get a lawyer to figure it out. I mean, it's not difficult.
You got to get started on your path to the 10,000 hours, right? You got to start that path. And when I joined Dennis about 6 years ago, there was no digital presence, and I had no Chef Tim and no test kitchen. So I knew I needed to grow a foodie audience. I had my phone on me all the time at the grocery store. I was peeling the grocery store sticker off an apple, shining it up and sticking it on the other apples and taking a picture, right? You go to the deli slicer, put it in zoom mode, and you watch them slicing the meat in the back. Oh, I just wanted to take a, oh, the meat looks so nice. I just wanted to get a picture, And then you got, hey, our sliced meat, the content is everywhere. You don't have to force the issue. I would much rather you go out and take a picture of your family barbecue to get a grilled meats post up than to download some stock clip art somewhere and say, hey, everybody, it's barbecue day at our restaurant.
Oh, and the algorithm is going to be determining whether or not stuff is stock and whether or not it's original content. Yeah. Things are moving so fast, but I love that as a pro tip, Luke. As far as content is everywhere, you just have to be in the mood and mindset of creating content, and like just start taking pictures of this and that. I mean, any of our fans of Restauranttopia know that my son is cameoed in like 15 different social media posts. And again, he's there, he's shoving food into his face, and we're talking about food and kids and restaurants. Boom, that's a post. Like those are the sorts of things that I think you can do in your restaurant that are so critical to whether it's in the kitchen, in the front of house, picking a location that looks clean, looks neat on camera. You can test it. And then you can go back to it for long form content. And when I say long form, it could be a 3-minute origin story with the chef. It could be a 3-minute video with your front of house manager on how to do a birthday party or anniversary celebration. So all that stuff is doable. You just got to start. I mean, you're not doing Toy Story 27. Like this is something for your restaurant. It's going to go on social media. It's going to be consumed typically on the phone. So again, even the quality of the videography doesn't need to be fantastic because of the screen size that you're on.
And you get better. The quality gets better. That's the whole point, is that you just got to get started, because you will learn how to hold your camera better. Yep. You will learn where the angle shots are that you want to get. The thing I do with restaurateurs in our area is I'll take them around their restaurant with their camera in my hand, and it's on with the camera open. And I'll go up to their bar, right? And I'll put the camera right on the bar, looking down the long way, and I'll put like a plate of food or something, and I'm like, look at this shot. Look at the shot you've got right here. It shows your whole restaurant. It's impressive. It's got a nice angle. Go in the kitchen, and it's like you see the old time movie producers do when they're looking through their fingers, their 4 fingers held up in front of them, right, to box something in, to frame it. Turn your camera on, walk around your restaurant and look through it. It's going to show you light values. It's going to show you shots that are interesting, and do not hold it at chest height the entire time you're filming. That's pretty boring. Move it down to the floor, move it up to the ceiling, put it in the cooler and have somebody open the cooler while it's recorded. Like, go crazy. We're not out to create magic. Magic's going to happen eventually, and you're just going to have to, you'll be able to capture it because you're ready.
Oh, and make sure when you're doing that, like make sure that the things are organized, that things are clean, that it has a very uniform, clean look to it. I think that's very important, that there's cleanliness, that there's not napkins out, or there's a bar rag or what have you. I think that's one thing that in a lot of content that I'm seeing is the 2 seconds it would have taken to organize the space would have really paid off in the production value.
Perception is reality. If you want people to come on in, you got to make it inviting. If you only want to record something once a month to get the idea out there, invite some friends and family and stage the background, give them some food, and have it be the way you want it to be. But for the most part, it doesn't take long to run a dish rag across something before you do that. Absolutely. And sometimes it's real and in the moment and you can't help it, but a little creative editing goes a long way as well.
Yeah, and I think one to speak to Brian's comment earlier about a little hesitancy is, somebody listening to this, episode saying like, "Well, I'm just not going to do video. I'm just not a video guy. Like, I'm not going to be on camera." You don't have to. So start with your food, start with your ambiance, start with your, like you said, start with the shots down the bar, start with, and then if you feel comfortable, maybe start doing some, overlaying your voice into it and whatever, if you don't want to be on camera. But you don't have to have this big personality or this big, like, let's not, again, we're not, it's not Coppola, you know what I mean? Like, we don't need, you don't need Tom Cruise. Like, you can start with just, because there's so many things in your restaurant that are interesting. Again, food, ambiance, staff. You don't need that big personality. So some of the hesitancy is like, I'm just not doing video because I'm not going to be on video. Like, you don't have to. You can still use this to your advantage to showcase your restaurant.
One thing, and whether it's evolutionary biology or what have you, people love movement. And that's what's going to draw eyeballs when they're online. When they're scrolling and then they see movement, that is going to be next level. I mean, you look at the platforms like TikTok and Instagram stories, and you look at these things that are getting a ton of views, it is movement. And that's an avenue for you to attack those platforms with content that is going to drive traffic into your restaurant.
Yep, absolutely. And if somebody listening out there, I'm going to extend to you a challenge. Okay, go around your restaurant, spend 90% of the time in the kitchen, and record in nothing but slow-mo for half an hour. Okay, take clips. It's not half an hour straight. Go around and find opportunities and shoot in slow-mo. Now, this will only work on the later iPhones, 11 and up, maybe 12 and up, because they need that captured light value. And that iPhone 13 that just came out, and I swear I'm not getting a commission check, it's got 40% greater light value, light capturing ability than the iPhone 12. Light is everything in photography and videography. If you've ever wanted to start doing video, go get that camera, pre-order, whatever you're going to do. It will change the way you look at the opportunities in your business, because you'll be looking through this lens and you'll see the slow-mo. And the only way to really get started is you got to give yourself some goosebumps, right? Some goose pimples. You got to get excited about something you did. If you look at this as something you have to do because everybody's saying, oh, you have to be on social media, you have to be found, you have to create content, it's the only way, then it's a chore. Nobody wants a chore. What I encourage people to do is for them to show off their restaurant, to share their story, right? When you go in and you talk to the chef, you're not asking him to recite the menu description of the dish. Hey, chef, what's your favorite thing about this? What are you working on right now? Oh, I saw you're doing a seasonal vegetable. Why does that go good with this versus what last spring's vegetable was, or whatever? Just talk to them about the things they know and love, and the naturally good content will come out of them.
It's great advice.
Yeah, no, I think that was a golden nugget there. Like, yeah, that was a definite pro tip. Like, just start doing it. Do the slow-mo, get the right equipment, and give yourself goosebumps. I love that. You know what I mean? Because we've all had that situation, because our restaurants are near and dear to our hearts, and you see something or you hear something, and then you're like, man, that got me really jazzed up. If you can connect that with this process, then you're on your way. I love that, Luke. That's awesome.
The new iPhones and 12 or 13, the content quality that they're putting out is next level. I have an iPhone 10 and I have the iPhone 13 now, but the difference between just those two levels is unbelievable. You will be able to put out content that is rivals the national chains. And if you're lacking for ideas, we have the 25 social media campaigns for restaurants on our website as a free downloadable resource. Download that. That will give you the ideas to get the creative juices flowing and really put some content out there. And this stuff can be done week after week, whether it's the chef's origin story or it's featuring the chef of where this dish came from. As Tim and Anthony can I'm sure attest to, like, the dishes mean something. This is a work of art. This is something that you put your heart and soul into. And it's not like, oh, I'm making another burger. This is how my grandfather made the burger, and this is how we made the lasagna, or what have you. And those sorts of stories resonate with the customers. And I think it's really good content.
What I think I love about this whole thing is that we've talked about this ad nauseum. We talked about the humanization of the restaurant operator, right? And I love that this content is going to be rough around the edges because it brings a human element in. It makes you seem more real, more organic, more authentic, right? Like, the people are really getting to know you, not someone behind the silver screen. And I absolutely love that about this. And to Brian's point, and then to Luke, what you were talking about earlier, if you just walk around and film continually, what's going to happen is you're going to catch those magic moments, and you're going to give people the other thing that they love. And it's a look behind the curtain at their favorite establishment. And it's just this approachability to this whole thing. I just absolutely adore it.
So Luke, Tim, I got a question. All right. The restaurateur, he did all the work. He ditched the DSLR. He's got his brand new iPhone. He's recorded copious amounts of content. Now, what do I do with it? It's all rough cut. Like, how do you recommend that a restaurateur can edit it quickly, effectively, and get it posted?
You can edit it on your phone, downloading iMovie. And there are lots of other apps you can download, including apps that will let you record on both the front-facing and the rear-facing cameras at the same time, should you want to record an interview per se. But then you take it into iMovie on a Mac or an iPad. And now I'm advocating buying more stuff, but you can do it on the phone in iMovie. iMovie is the answer that we've used for 90% of the stuff. I have professional Adobe software at my disposal. I love Photoshop, but I use the video software that Adobe has 1 out of every 50 videos, because it's that one specific thing that I want to be able to do that I just can't. 90% of everything, of all the content we produce, maybe more than that, 99% comes out of iMovie. I believe that the truest form of video editing is a pair of scissors and some Scotch tape. If you can't edit video, and this is the proverbial because everything's digital now, but that's how they did it back in the day. If you can't edit with scissors and tape, then, that's probably a lost cause. And that's saying it's really, really easy. I'm saying it's not hard unless you can't run with scissors, and then it's an issue for you. But honestly, you just have to make cuts, and you learn how to do that over time, because what we have done from the get-go is not try to record a perfect take. I think we tried to use a script once, and didn't we try, Tim, once to actually say some lines? And it was a nightmare. And yeah,
I think early on we tried scripting things out, but that quickly evolved, especially in the past year, to just like flowing through the seat of my pants. With whatever I have for content, I'll download it to iMovie, and I'll take some time and I'll look at it. And from there is where I really start to capture inspiration. I'll look at the same clip over and over again, and just the tone of my voice, maybe a facial expression that I was using, getting that inspiration by capturing a second look, not through the camera lens, but through your own eyes. And sometimes when you do that, it takes on a totally different form. But to allow yourself that extra time, could be at night after work, or, instead of looking at thoughtless videos online, you can look at your own content and do something creative. I also recommend not only your phone, but maybe a secondary phone as well, especially if you're doing quick content for a quick post. Yeah, one phone is fine, holding it in your hand, walking around. But if you're doing cooking videos and you're going to morph into something a little bit more elaborate like that, and elaborate is a very loose term, then you might want a secondary device of some sort. It doesn't have to be a camera. It could be something small. And so that way you're able to set up another angle. So when you're doing your video editing, it becomes a lot more interesting. You're getting a top angle from things going on overhead, and you're still able to do all this stuff by yourself. It takes a little more movement. You got to stop what you're doing, mid-process, move things around, shift things around, but it works. So I always recommend a secondary piece of equipment, but that's just from my standpoint.
I would recommend, if you're on a PC or if you're doing the multiple camera angles, there's a really cheap program called Adobe Premiere Elements, which is less than $100. It's not in the Adobe suite. It's just a standalone program you can download. It's really, really simple. It allows you to do the multiple angles, the multiple soundtracks, and it also allows you to just do that simple cut and paste kind of moving of the video files. And to me, that's critical. And that's what we do some of our filming on. I think that's really high quality for the amount of money. But again, I wouldn't even invest in that. I would totally just practice on the free tools until you're like, I think I want to upgrade to something a little bit more. But the free tools are so strong. I don't even know if you'd need that for social media content.
Yeah, and to that point, Adobe Premiere, Brush, there's a bunch of, you go to the App Store, you type video editing, and you're going to see a bunch. If you're on your PC, be wary of the Google search of video editing software. I would take Brian's recommendation and go with the Adobe software. It is worth the money. The headaches over the promises of free software is not, there are solutions out there, but I'm talking the free, the iMovies, the things that come on your devices. I'm sure Samsung has some video editing software that comes on their phones. And if you love your Samsung device and it does 4K and all the great stuff, then go with the Adobe, use your, Asus laptop. It does not matter. The quality is there. It really comes down to, making basic, simple cuts and practicing putting your content together, being comfortable with yourself on camera if you're the one on camera, or making others comfortable around it, and really experimenting.
The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. You really got to just start, get this part of it, get this part of your operation. It will pay dividends because, as Gary Vaynerchuk said, we're all marketing companies, whether or not you're selling boxes or you're selling corned beef. You are a marketing company. You need to have video that is putting out amazing content.
Yeah.
Luke, Tim, where can we find more of your content? And we'll put this stuff in the show notes, but where can people find you guys at?
Go to dennisexpress.com. And if you want to jump right to Tim's content and see what he's been up to in the test kitchen, you can go to dennisexpress.com/
chef.
You're lying,
Yeah.
Mr. Q.
The stuff that Luke and Tim are putting together is very high quality and a little bit longer. But when you're talking about a 30-second clip, you can get this done, and that's what you should be practicing on. And really check out, see what you can do. Tag us in it. If there's something we can help you with, we'd love to do that for you. This is our challenge to you, is to get out there, film, get some content.
Great stuff, fellas. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.